Donald Trump was barred in Colorado from the ballot. So for the 2024 election, it's most likely going to be Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. And so Colorado decided to bar him from the election because they considered the events from January 6th that incited a riot. They considered that a coup or a riot against the American government. They considered it like that, and because of that, they removed him from the ballot. Now, the reason they were able to do this is because the 14th Amendment, specifically Section 3, talks about the fact that if someone tries to coup the government or tries to start a riot, they are barred from being put in the election. It was done for Confederate soldiers at the time. So Confederate soldiers, generals, officials, they were basically barred from government because they worked for the Confederacy. So in this case, they decided that Trump and his January 6th situation is basically equivalent to the Confederacy, and so they barred him. In my honest opinion, this is unconstitutional, goes against democracy. January 6th was a bad event, but you can't relate it to Trump. It isn't Trump's fault. It's just his supporters who did that. And therefore, this is basically just a show that Colorado is scared of Trump and that they had to ban him just so he can't win. So they're basically cheating the election. The Vatican recently made a statement talking about gay blessing. A lot of people from specifically Orthodox, Islam, Protestant faith, and some Catholics even, interpreted this as the Vatican saying that we support gay marriage and that we support gays. But in reality, this is what the Pope actually meant. What the Pope meant is that he supports blessing, that a priest can bless a gay person, just like a priest can bless an animal or any other person, because blessing is a very integral part of Catholicism and many other Christian religions, because when you bless someone, you're giving them good faith, you're wishing good about them. Basically, you can bless anyone, even if they aren't religious or if they're sinning. Next off, we have to talk about the fire extinguisher and the Polish Sejm. The Polish politician Grzegorz Braun took a fire extinguisher in the Sejm. He burnt a Hanukkah candle because in the Sejm they do a religious ceremony for both Jews and Catholics every time a new parliament majority gets elected. And so because the opposition won the election, the opposition, which is every party besides Prawo i Sprawiedliwość and the Konfederacja, because the opposition won, they did a ceremony, and so Grzegorz Braun took the fire extinguisher and he decided to burn the candle. What's interesting about this is that I did a video on this not too long ago, a YouTube short about it, and a lot of people in the comments said I was like being anti-Semitic or that I hated Jews, which is very confusing to me, because in the video I didn't say anything negative about the Jewish people. Obviously we should respect all religions, that's what faith is about, but 52% dislike ratio is actually crazy. So you have people saying you should be able to dislike anyone, he's not anti-Semitic. We have people, saying that I'm a Jew apparently. Who cares? Sad you're promoting hate of Jews. So that's basically the situation in the Sejm. And so since we're speaking about the election results, let's speak about the new parliament. So the new parliament in Poland is controlled. Well, it's still controlled by Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, the outgoing party, since they have the most seats. But they do not have control because the opposition parties, which are primarily left-leaning, they have a control because if you combine all their seats, they have a majority. So because of that, people said the opposition won. And the opposition, they elected a new prime minister for Poland, and the prime minister is Donald Tusk. Donald Tusk was the former prime minister of the European Union, and so he has very good relations between the EU. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, the old party, they basically ruined all the relations that Poland had with the EU because they didn't agree with a lot of EU policy, etc., on immigration, even Ukraine, despite the Polish government supporting Ukraine, and they got into some drama with Ukraine, and so they disagreed a lot. Because Poland had veto power, they wouldn't agree on a lot of decisions, and so they'd argue a lot, basically. And so this time, since Poland has a new leader who is pro-European Union, it seems like Poland is basically just going to accept anything the EU does. Now, you have some people saying that Poland is now selling itself to Germany, basically. Other people saying that this is a good decision because if Poland gets closer to the EU, they get a stronger and bigger economy. I personally don't know what to think of it. In my opinion, at least, all of the Polish political parties do not support any of my values because I have Catholic conservative values. At the same time, this doesn't represent my values well, and the opposition parties, they're left-leaning, they obviously don't go with my values. Next off, a minor story, but the Japanese company Toshiba just went private. So Toshiba is a known company. Everyone knows what Toshiba is. They make those like TVs, laptops, they're known worldwide, but they recently went private. Previously, Toshiba was a public company like most other companies, meaning you could buy stocks and you could trade for the company. And Toshiba has gone to a lot of scandals recently, and because of that, they decided to go completely privit and close down their business to not, collapse. Basically, they're just scared that since all their investors are going away, why can't they just go private right now to save their business? So next off, here's another interesting story. So last year, we all remember the Chinese spy balloon incident. So the Chinese spy balloon incident was these Chinese balloons were coming to the United States. They were flying over many states, and they were spying because they apparently had spy cameras. Then they were flying over the US for a couple of days. Biden didn't know what to do because he was obviously taking a nap. And so they finally decided to bring in the military. And once the spy balloon was over the Atlantic Ocean, they shot it down to not risk injuring civilians. So that situation was pretty interesting considering the balloons actually weren't just in America. They also traveled to many Central American and South American countries as well. They were apparently in Europe as well. But now they're in Taiwan, so people in Taiwan have recently spotted Chinese spy balloons. People don't know what to think of it, obviously. Taiwan and China have always had a bad relation because Taiwan is technically the sole China, as well as China being China. Because the Chinese Communist Party won, the Republican government, they had to flee to the Taipei, or Taiwan Island, and so that is where they sit now. So Taiwan is still claiming all of the old Republic of China territory, meaning they claim all of China as well as Mongolia and some other territory, but they don't have claim to it. They don't actually own it. Taiwan just exists now because obviously if China tries to take it, America's gonna try and stop them. And so you have this discourse, this political discourse between the Americans and the Chinese about who deserves to own the land, who deserves to own all of China, because China is valuable because of the sweatshops and all the territory it controls. And for the last topic of the day, let's talk about 23andMe. 23andMe is a popular website where you can basically just put in your information and they'll just, tell you where you're from, what are your genetics, what are your genetic compounds. Obviously, I don't need to do that 23andMe bullshit because I'm not mixed. I don't know why I just said that. It's not really a flex. I'm just Polish, bro, 100%, I don't need that 23andMe. I just know when I look at myself that I'm Polish and that's it. So anyways, 23andMe's data recently got leaked. So 6 million people's data just got leaked by 23andMe. And what that means is now these hackers had access to people's genetic information, credit card info, and all this information that was valuable, and so they were selling it to advertisers and other hackers, and it was an entire thing basically. I don't know what to think of it. I think it's just a weird situation overall. It's a sad situation because people lost their data. People's data is now publicly in the air for others to steal their stuff. Identity fraud, all that stuff. And I'd also like to talk about Christmas. Christmas is coming up. We all know that. So I wish all of you guys watching a Merry Christmas. I hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you and your family have a wonderful time. If you celebrate Christmas feast, I hope you have a good Christmas feast. If you celebrate Vigilia, I hope you do that. But that's about it. So I hope all of you guys have a great Christmas. As I said before, I am praying for you all. However way you celebrate, obviously, because there's different faiths. Some people are atheists, so it all depends, but always remember that this holiday represents the birth of Jesus, the birth of our Savior, the birth of Christ. So you should devote your time to Him, say a prayer, say thank you, and appreciate Him for giving you this opportunity, which is life. Christmas is one of the best holidays because you're obviously gonna get fun gifts, you're gonna spend time with family, eat good food. It's one of the best holidays, at least in my opinion, because not only do you have this time with family, not only are you gonna have your own gifts, everything you've ever wished for, you're gonna just have new experiences. You're gonna learn new things, maybe even meet new people, or you're gonna stay with the same people, but maybe you'll see people who you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe you'll see people who you always see, but it's always an opportunity to see people, to spend time with people that you either love or care for. And that is the most important thing about Christmas. As well as gifts, as well as the joy, as well as Jesus himself, the most important thing about Christmas is spending time with family. And that is the true joy of Christmas. If you enjoyed this episode, the second episode of Ketchup 10, my political series, then feel free to subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys next time for the next episode of the series. We had a good year together, guys. We gained a lot of subscribers, views, we've grown the channel. 2023 really went well for us. And I can't wait to see what we can do together in 2024. Goodbye, guys, and thank you for watching.